In this Dragonfly Creative class, you're going to be mastering a bias waist palazzo pant. After you get this technique down, these are sure to be your new favorite pair of pants. We'll be covering how to create the bias waist, what fabrics work best for this design, how to put patch pockets on, and even different ways to insert elastic into the waistband. This class's kit includes beautiful rayon linen fabric in a selection of beautiful colors and elastic as well as the pattern. So if you're ready to learn and get creative, I look forward to seeing you in class soon. Hi, I'm Nick Coman with Dragonfly Creative, and welcome to the Biased Waist Palazzo Pant class. Today's class is going to be constructing a palazzo pant out of a fabric. This one is a linen and rayon blend, but one of the things I want to talk about is some of the other fabrics that you're able to use, as well as some of the different options we're going to be covering today. First, fabric. The kits that are going to be available are going to be using the fabric that I am going to be using today, and it's called Brussels Washer. It's by Robert Kaufman Company, and it is a really wonderful linen and rayon blend. It's got a nice drape, but it's sort of weighty and it's got a little bit of that linen texture in it, so it's really lovely. Great for a pair of summer palazzos. What we have here, this is a cotton and linen blend, so this is a slightly different blend, and it's a little bit stiffer. And then right here we have a rayon crepe, and this rayon crepe has a little teeny bit of spandex in it, so you can use that. You can also use a stable knit if you have them on hand, like a Sophia. Those work absolutely beautifully. Some of the things that we're going to be talking about later on, we only have to make a couple of different little switches in the pattern to use different types of fabric, but those are easy. What makes this the bias waist palazzo, and the reason I have both of these models up here, is that if you look at the actual waistband here, there is a panel of fabric right at the top here where the elastic is, okay? This panel of fabric, it's about 4 inches wide, is a bias cut panel. And what bias cut means is that instead of being straight up and down, the straight of grain and the cross grain, the bias just switches everything so that it's on its diagonal. And then that way, what happens is those threads that normally are hanging this way, when you put them like this, they're able to just sort of collapse and relax into each other. And what it does is it forms over the top of the hip so that it allows that waistband to form more to the top of your hip. So when you wear it underneath a t-shirt or something a little more snug, you don't have that elastic waist bump. That excess weight right at your waist where you don't want it. This one has no pockets. This one has an inseam pocket right here, real easy to do. And then today's pant, what I'm going to show you how to do is take the pattern that was for the inseam pocket and create a patch pocket. So you have lots of different options for this pair of pants. Let's get started. So now what we're going to do is I have already cut the pants out, and I have the pants front, the pants back, the bias waistband, and then this is going to be the pocket piece that I'm going to show you how to alter. So the pattern comes with an inseam pocket on the actual pattern itself, but there are a number of different ways that you can alter this. Today we're going to take the pattern for the inseam pocket, and I'm going to show you how to create a patch pocket out of that. Now the patch pocket is really useful and fun, and you can do a lot of different things with it. So we're going to put the patch pocket on the front of the pant, and I'm going to do a top entry on this particular pocket instead of a side entry. Okay? But you can do whatever you want, they're your pants. So what I've done is I've taken the inseam pocket pattern and I put it down on the fabric, and then I've just traced around it so I make sure and have enough space within that pocket that I'm still going to be able to get a hand in there, okay? That's the major thing you want to think about. And then I've added seam allowance on the outside edge. Now this pattern has a 1/2 inch seam allowance already allowed on the pattern, except where noted, and that's usually at the hems where it's 1.5 inches. So I've laid this down. Now what I'm also going to do is I'm going to put the edges of the pattern right up against here, and then I'm going to take my pen and I'm going to mark where the notches would be on the actual inseam pocket pattern, because we're still going to match the notches on the side of the pants with the patch pocket, okay? It'll make more sense when we actually put the pocket down and do that. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut that out. So we're gonna move this pattern piece. I'm gonna take my trusty rotary cutter, and if you feel comfortable doing a free-form cut, go ahead. I'm not that good, so I like to use the rotary cutter. Now you'll notice I didn't put a top on this pattern, and that is simply because when we add it to the waistband, I'm going to trim off any excess that's on the top to match the waistband of the pant, okay? Normally you have a complete pattern piece, but this one is just sort of a hack, if you will. We're gonna just throw it in there. So I've got that extra fabric right there, and then I'm gonna take my scissors, and I cut this on the fold. So I'm just gonna go ahead and slit that piece of fabric down the side. And then I'm going to do a small clip at each notch so I know where to line it up on my pant. So the clip is no more than 1/4 inch. 1/8 inch is just fine. It'll depend on the fabric that you're using and that you're able to see the clip. So I've got those clips in there, and now if I turn this over, I have a left pocket and I have a right pocket. Now the thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hem the 2 edges that are going to be seen. Okay? So I'm just going to take those to my iron. Actually, I'll just bring the iron over here. And I'm going to turn up a half inch hem on both of these and give it a little press. And then this will be the outside edges of our pocket. So while I'm ironing here, one of the things that you are able to do is, if you want to actually figure out what the pocket size is going to be first, then you can do that. And it's really nice to be able to add a button. Now we're going to go ahead and apply the patch pockets to the front of the pants. So I've got the pant front, right here, and they are right sides together or correct sides together, because on this particular fabric, the correct side could be either one. I'm just picking one. They don't look particularly different. But you want to make sure and lay them out and make sure you have a right side and a left side. You don't want to put the pockets on two lefts or two rights. Ask me how I know about that. So I still lay these out just like this so that I have an actual pair of pants in front of me, and I know that this is going to be the right leg, this is going to be the left leg. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to now take my pockets and I'm going to lay them down. Now I have that little clip on the seam here, and you can see right here, I think, that the fabric is above the top of the pocket. That's okay. We're going to just trim that off. I would rather have a little too much to work with than not enough. So we're going to lay this one down, and then I'm going to lay this one down over here, and I'm matching that notch up in the side of the pocket right here on the side. And you may not be able to see it real well, but I can, and I know that I'm matching up those notches, and that just means that those pockets are going to end up in the correct place on the garment. Okay, so I've got them laid there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to find my pins, and I'm just going to pin. Now I tend to pin perpendicular to the seam. I also pin on whatever side I'm going to be able to pull out easiest while I'm sewing. Now, because a patch pocket is rather sporty, one of the things that I think we'll do, and I just decided this, is we're going to go ahead and stitch twice around here, and we're going to just stitch a little way away from each other, and that gives a slightly more sporty look, that double line of stitching. You see that on a lot of sportswear. Now, I'm usually not a big pinner, which is one of the things that you will discover watching these videos, but with these pockets, we really do need to pin. So my new favorite toys are these little clips. They're flat on the bottom, and then they clip on top, and then you just slide them right over the edge, and instead of having to pin, you just put the clips on, and they hold everything in place, actually almost better than the pins do. I love using these when I'm using a serger, because that way I don't have any chance of running over a stray pin and knocking my timing out or hitting that blade. Now, before we actually attach the pockets to the pants and at the side seam, what we need to do is trim off that top, which I've already done, and then turn under a 1/2 inch seam allowance, and then I'm going to go ahead and stitch that top edge where the hand is going to go in. I'm not going to remove these from the pant. I'll be honest, I forgot about the top edge. I'm just going to take one pin off and one clip off, and I'm going to sew that top edge while they're still attached to the pants, and then I'll just be able to put the pins back. I'm going up under here. I've got that 1/2 inch seam allowance already turned under. Now what I'm going to be doing is I'm turning under another 1/4 of an inch, or actually I'm turning under I'm turning under that 1/2 inch seam allowance, so it's turned under again, and just so it's a total of a 1/4 inch seam allowance. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and stitch. I'm going to back tack. And then just sew, and then put the seam in place as you go. And you really don't even need to pin this. You can just turn this under. If you've already got one edge of it ironed, you can go ahead and just turn that under. And now I've got that You can see that edge right there is now all turned under and stitched, and on the back side it's clean finished. Thank you for watching this Dragonfly Creative class. If you'd like to see more content like this, head on over to dragonflycreative.art.